Here's the kind of classic look of trees near a coastline where the wind blows uphill a lot, seemingly pushing these trees uphill, although they take on very whimsical shapes anyway. Notice the complete lack, almost complete lack of heavy ground cover. Here's some little ground cover flowers, plus that yellow one there. Just wanted to focus on the pretty color that's probably the result of a branch dying. Looks like we're coming out of the woods into a meadowed headland or point. Here with a little bit better exposure to sun and water, a little bit greater explosion of color. In this little portion, the clover seems to dominate, or at least what looks like clover to me, the clover flowers. How pretty it is. A location marker. And here where the exposure is perhaps a little too much, the white flowers have shrunk to little, probably 1/4 inch max. Looking back in the center, you may just be able to make out the entry part where I started at, right there. Excuse the rapid telephoto. But I want to focus to the left and beyond Ushuaia to those two huge sunlit mountains in the back. I suspect that it's just two of several. They must be very tall mountains. The one on the left, of course, it's topped in clouds. Wow. I'll make two 180-degree pans, one to the left, shooting over Ushuaia Bay and the Beagle Channel. That's chilly, of course. No shortage of wild country down here. And now I'll pan the side that I'm on. You can see how wind-blown the tops of these trees are. kind of a black hawk. He's enjoying getting close to me, though it has the white of what we would call a chicken hawk. That's old name. Continuing my pan after his reconnaissance of me. I wonder if that bowl up there is a cirque. In other words, if all of this were covered by ice at one time. You would think so. I'm walking down a very steep hill off that bluff I was on, down into this little glade with a stream running through it. Very pretty. In the hopes that it runs right down to the sea. And then I can walk along the water's edge for a while. I don't know if I caught any of it, but I saw a black something or other, like a large bushy squirrel, but very black, run along the stream and into those logs. I can still see one up there. Now there's one in gray up further. You don't see much wildlife here. No, the hiking I've done, other than the birds, I haven't seen anything. I did see rabbits. Pretty place to camp where the inconsiderate leave their trash. But at least the area itself is preserved for the future. It can always be cleaned up. It will recover on its own. Very pretty with this carpet of green, punctuated with the white and yellow flowers. What a lovely spot to camp in, eh? I'm guessing that much of the coastline that I've walked above is like this and would be almost impossible, except under extraordinary circumstances, to be negotiated. These bushes are just dripping with these red and white berries, which are soft. As you can see, they split apart, providing food for certainly some birds, although you see very little, even of birds here. So strange. Right ahead of me is where I wanted to walk, but I doubt you can. Not only is it rugged, it's slippery, which means it's very dangerous. This plane coming in for a relatively easy landing and an almost windless day. Ours was a fighter pilot landing. Scary. You knew you were either going to land or die. Literally. Then I guess you always do. Here, a little more intimate look at this rugged coastline. Now look at these, are almost microscopic versions of those plants with the berries. But even these contain little tiny berries, maybe about 1/8 of a width in diameter. So the only way to negotiate this coastline is to go back up on top and retrace my steps. A steep slog, and only about halfway up. Nobody here. Wonderful. All of this land and no animals. And this plant has these shifty, sneaky little barbs on them is because sometimes they contain berries. And I saw a couple of girls eating some, so I'm going to try one. This is what they look like up close, like a blueberry or a Saskatoon or something like that. This is what they look like up close, a blueberry or a Saskatoon. Kind of a sour taste, not terribly pleasant. One of the local touring boats probably. Going over to Estancia Arborton. Dramatically pretty flower. Singular in this patch. I haven't seen them before. No surprise they should garner the attention of that pretty bird. From this vantage point, a couple more, a little bit shorter mountains are displayed in that gap. And here I can hike down to the beach and follow the beach for a little ways at least. If I can't go too much farther, I can always pack up to the road again. A little bit larger than a sparrow, I think. Maybe not. Nice little cobble beach. Some birds down there. I may actually get to video since there aren't any tour groups around to mess it up. A couple of young ones offshore here a little ways. There they are. What's nice about hiking in places like this is, as I hike along the beach, I start to anticipate hiking up around through that grassy area and over the knoll, wondering what I'll see when I get there. What's interesting is a lot of the stones along this part of the beach appear to be these flat-edged ones. And I'm suspecting that it's because it's that, what I'm calling slate-like rock structure that when it breaks down, it just breaks down normally into flat pieces that then get rounded like this one. The jellyfish did not plan its tidal escape correctly. But it was not alone. There are several along the beach here. Perhaps they just do not have the mobility capacity to compete with the tide and the wave action. There are many right along here that suffer that same problem. I wonder what warranted those cement structures. Probably some kind of tidal action, maybe even the jellyfish. But a pretty little bay. Well, the answer may be that these structures are the remnants of barbecue pits that were put here with great optimism once in the past. I just climbed up on top of this grassy knoll, if you will, and I'll wander down through here and get down to the beach again, and then down to there. This ground cover is a very thin, I think it may be a moss. In some places it seems more like worn down grass, but here I think it's a kind of a moss idea. But it feels like a carpet when you walk on it, like you'd have in your living room.